So as we all know, Chris Jericho is currently the IWGP Intercontinental champion after he won it, and he hasn't been seen since. So he's getting that heat of Brock Lesnar, but at least he's willing to work the dates. And as we know, SummerSlam's coming around where Dolph Ziggler will defend his Intercontinental Championship against Seth Rollins. Well, what if I told you that there was an idea in place that sounds a whole lot better? Like, okay, remember how my dream, and I preached this on some videos, and I've said this on Twitter a little bit, how I envision a interconnected wrestling shared universe. Like, imagine WWE talent coming to New Japan Pro Wrestling to fight, New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestlers coming to WWE to fight, Lucha Underground competitors coming into New Japan Pro Wrestling and fighting. Like, it would be this very complicated, very difficult way to do it, but I get the feeling it can be achieved. And then I've also been lately saying that Chris Jericho is going to be the guy that probably kickstarts the idea. Well, Jericho clearly has shown that he wants to do this, because on a recent podcast episode he did that I read in a report on both Fightful and Ringside News, he had revealed that he pitched an idea of him challenging Intercontinental Champion at the time it was Seth Rollins, and this is what he said. I placed a call to a certain head of a certain wrestling company, said, I got something for you. It's big time. What do you think about the first time ever Intercontinental Champion versus Intercontinental Champion? Jericho versus Rollins. What's the finish? Doesn't matter. New Japan versus WWE, and you can make this happen. And Jericho revealed that he had planned out to travel to appear on Raw on August 13th and attack Seth Rollins. He said he got a decent response from WWE, but never heard back about the idea. Here's what I'm about to say. Vince hates the idea. Triple H probably was all for it. Kevin Dunn and Vince were like, dude, no. Because I hate anything that does not involve me. So, here's my best guess of what's going to happen now that Vince has basically said, no, we're not doing that. That is a terrible idea, even though everyone says that they want to see it. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Vince's petty state calls for him to never work with Jericho again after that call. Like, can you really imagine some guy coming in and saying, hey, can we do a cross-promotional match? And Vince would probably tell him to fuck off after that and never talk to him again. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jericho's never hired by Vince ever again. I'd be a little surprised. But yeah, considering how Vince has resorted to being petty, desperate, and believing that pepper spraying Roman Reigns for legitimate purposes is clearly going to get him over, even though that makes no sense and only further worsens his health. Yeah, I'm also still on that, and I ranted about that already, and I don't feel like going back into ranting about that. But the idea of this match happening, in fact, Jericho even admitted that I haven't watched Raw in a month. I can't blame him for that. But, yeah, he envisioned this match happening. It is now going to be a major what if, not because Jericho and Rollins has happened before, but it's because Jericho's working for New Japan Pro Wrestling and Seth Rollins works for WWE. This, in my opinion, I would have said, you know what, I'll settle for this match over Seth Rollins and Lesnar. At least we know Rollins would have a chance. From what I'm hearing, the idea Jericho had was probably an ending with a no disqualification. From what I heard, it was going to be I can't recall a DQ thing, which does come across as cheap, but I can see why the two companies probably would have a hard time trying to choose who would win who, but here's the thing. You're trying to cross-promote two brands who Vince hates with a passion and whatnot. But, like, yeah, here's the thing. Vince didn't want to do it because reasons. Yeah, but it would have most likely ended in a DQ with a run-in because they got all these, deals and obligations. But, yeah, this is a freaking fantastic idea. Have the two companies work together. Hell, Vince probably could have made big money off of this if he had said, hey, we got this other promotion coming in and it would have been great exposure but for New Japan Pro Wrestling, but that's the problem. Vince doesn't want to give more exposure to who he believes are the satanic evils of the world. Because having competition is bad for your health. It's not like that made WWE a very prosperous company once upon a time and had creativity and had talent and whatnot going around, flourishing, honing their craft, being allowed to do what they can on the microphone, so long as did not break certain moral standards. That actually happened. Yeah, this Jericho hasn't defended his IWGP title. This would have been a freaking awesome idea. I would be all for this. I would probably be all for the idea of a DQ with a run-in, and if they did do that, they would have to probably have Tetsuya Naito to show up as well, which I don't think Vince will approve because, for one, he's a face, and Vince can't understand the concept of a good guy foreigner because, foreigners are either portrayed as stupid, idiots, and morons, or anti-American agenda-filled man, or stereotypes in Japanese culture that would probably piss them off to the extreme. Look at how Asuka is being portrayed as an idiot with the Carmella feud, how that happened. She's not even doing anything now, so, yeah. Yeah. The IWGP champion, the IWGP Intercontinental Champion versus WWE's Intercontinental Champion. Oh my god, that would have been great. I was like, when I read this, I was like, two things came to mind. I was like, well, I saw that coming. And two, well, I get the feeling Vince is never going to want to work with him ever again. He just said blasphemous statements. So, yeah. And considering this is the same guy that wants to pepper spray Roman Reigns for real, because that's clearly going to be getting him over style, which sucked and was a horrible idea in every single way possible, and I can't believe Vince actually thought that was a fucking great idea, and I seriously hope it isn't true because I am not mad. But, yeah, this could have been something. This really could have been something. It could have been a catalyst. It could have been the catalyst to the dream I envision. A wrestling shared universe. Like we've seen the Marvels, we've seen movie cinematic universes, we've seen television cinematic universes. Why not just go all out and do the wrestling shared universe? Like they kind of do that with all these other promotions. With Ring of Honor and New Japan, they have direct continuity with each other from time to time when they share the Young Bucks, especially from what I've seen. But to see a guy from New Japan Pro Wrestling coming in, attacking Seth Rollins with the IWGP title belt, everyone would be like, holy shit, what just happened? Because, think about this. How much money do you think this would have gotten Vince? It would be on his show, it would be basically on his terms. He could have, and think about this. Tyson Kidd producing this match. He goes ahead, gives the direction of how Seth Rollins versus Jericho could go, and it would be phenomenal. I wouldn't be surprised if Dave Meltzer did consider doing a top 5-star match with this, because that would make so much sense. And yeah, like I said, the idea of champion versus champion is not a foreign concept when it comes to promotions. Like they did Pete Dunne and Will Ospreay, but the reason why that was allowed was because Will Ospreay could do that, and Pete Dunne is still signed under contract with other wrestling companies besides WWE. He has like an open contract dealing from what I'm seeing, from how he looks. And the way they did that was a double count out. So they clearly couldn't go all out with this idea of, okay, we gotta have a winner. They can't do that because if Vince gets word of this, and let's be real, if he gets word of this, he's gonna be pissed. But if New Japan gets word of this, they have no idea what's going to happen with that. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't take too much offense with that. I don't know. And there's also one where they tried to do Pete Dunne versus Austin Aries, champion versus champion, along for the Destiny World title. That match was turned into a triple threat match thanks to James Ellsworth. Thanks a lot, you son of a bitch. And No, I'm kidding. I just felt like that was a horrible idea when they did that. Because they knew if they did that, they would have to choose who would win. Because if they did the cop-out ending, people would get mad. But if they did do the match, Vince McMahon especially and Kevin Dunn are going to be pissed. So, yeah, they have done cross-promotionals on other turns, but not in the way Vince would probably have done it. But this would have been very big. It would have been a huge deal for a lot of people. Like, yeah, this would have been shocking. This would have been a surprising. Vince, Chris Jericho was like, okay, let's do it. And they could have done so much with this. I didn't even need, Chris Jericho could do his promos on Twitter and I would understand the build-up with just less than a week left. That would make more sense. In fact, Jericho did that with a turtle to promote Tetsuya Naito. Kind of shows where this goes when it comes to Jericho's creativity. But yeah, this was a huge missed opportunity. Thanks a lot, Vince. Your ignorance and stupidity knows no bounds. So yeah, those were my thoughts. This is my thoughts on Chris Jericho's IWGP versus WWE proposal idea for SummerSlam. This was New Year Reality Art. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.